So what happened the other day that put me in the hospital is that I was coming off of a span of days that was fairly stressful with the breakdown of 2 vehicles, and I hadn't been running and I wanted to get caught up a little bit. And I deal with stress by running frequently. It helps me a lot, and I hadn't been running, so I thought I would go out, and the morning felt good. If you notice, it was cool when I started, about 8 in the morning. Before I was running, you look back at that video, you'll see I was actually wearing a pretty heavy coat, just a jacket. It wasn't zipped up, but it was nice and cool in the morning. Didn't start to warm up until the sun came up. And where I started to run at the library in downtown Redlands is sort of in the bottom of a valley. So everywhere you run from there is up. And in particular, if you run up Cajon, it goes up for 3 miles. But I felt pretty good going up most of it. I was getting tired, but it levels off after 4.5. And I had just kept going with the thought of maybe doing a 10-miler. And at 4.5, it levels off, and then it gets to run back downhill, which is always great. And so I was enjoying that. But I did run out of gas pretty much. About the time 7.5, 8 miles got there, I was not feeling great, and I was basically going to walk it back in already when I got a phone call from the Amco shop that was looking at the van that had died the night before, or 2 nights before, and they had replaced the transmission apparently just over a year ago, so that the 12-month warranty was no longer in effect, and they wanted $1,000 not to fix it, but to tear it apart and see what it might need. And I still had the Volt in the garage with no clue how much it might be, and sort of nervous that it could be, the major battery had died or something, and it was now going to be a $4,000 or more repair. These kind of hassles I didn't need, so that added to the stress. I don't know how much of a factor the stress was, but yeah, it was pretty strong. But more importantly, I think I got to the chase. I got to the finish line, and not the finish line, but I got to the end of my run, and I was kind of staggering. It was a struggle to finish that last half mile. And I got back to the car. I did have some water and a banana there, but those were not fixing me right up. I had to sit down, I had to lie down, did not feel good at all, and finally decided rather than be stubborn and insist on waiting to get better, I should call my wife. And she got out of work and came and got me. And we went to Kaiser Permanente, our healthcare place, and they said, we were there about 5 minutes before we had 7 people out in the parking lot looking at me saying, "Oh, he's conscious, that's good." But they said they couldn't take care of me. I should go to the emergency room to see if I had a heart attack. I didn't have any pain in my chest. I just couldn't recover. I felt really weak and was having a hard time. It wasn't that it was hard to breathe, but I was breathing really heavily, even like this is, 30, 40 minutes after I'd finished run. So they wanted to call an ambulance. They wanted to call 911, and we said, no, I'm okay. And Loth drove me to the hospital. So we got to the hospital, and I checked into the emergency room, told them basically what was going on. About that time, I got real violently ill and threw up quite a bit. And they just told, we signed papers, and they sent me to a room to wait. And I am not one to criticize healthcare workers. My mom was a nurse, my wife is a nurse's aide, and I know they work very hard. But it's kind of scary when you're trying to figure out, I wonder if I've had a heart attack. When you're told to wait, and you just sit there for like an hour, hour and a half, just waiting, and you don't feel good at all. I had the shivers and the shakes, and I could not catch my breath. I kept breathing hard, deeply, but I didn't feel any stabbing, searing pain across my chest, no pain down my arms, and none of those things that they tell you just expect a heart attack. So I figured I was going to live. And eventually they came and they hooked me up, as you saw. They took some blood, they hooked me up to an IV with some saline solution to get me rehydrated, and we spent I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3 hours there getting rehydrated. They took 2 EKGs. At first they were a little concerned because my heart rate was so low, but then they came to understand that I'm a runner, and they said, that's pretty normal. In fact, the machine is set to set off an alarm when your heart rate drops below 40 beats a minute, but that's kind of normal for me. So they eventually got annoyed with it going off and coming to check, and they just reset it so that it would have to go below 35. So yeah, after a couple hours there, EKGs weren't bad, the blood wasn't bad, the urine sample, and that wasn't bad, but it did indicate, that I was dehydrated. And more than I think it was the run, I think it was the 4 days of not running beforehand that led up to it. This is my personal theory. I am not a medical professional, but I didn't run for 4 days, and when I run, I get thirsty. I'm aware of my thirst, I'm aware that I need water, and I'd probably drink more. And for those 4 days, I probably was letting my hydration level go down, so that when I did go out and run, it hit me hard. But it did hit me hard, and I don't want to understate that. So if you're a runner and you've been at it for a long time, don't think you can't make mistakes, because it was kind of scary. And just the heavy breathing, I'm not sure what that light's going to be like now, but the heavy breathing for several hours, it just took me several hours before I caught my breath. And now for the last couple days, still I can feel just basic muscle soreness from that breathing, but I'm going to be okay. They said to limit my runs to 5 miles once I start to feel up to it. To be honest, I don't feel quite up to it yet, so I'm just out here for a walk. I'm recording it as a run because I'm moving about as fast as I feel comfortable with, but I expect in another couple days I'll start to feel better. I hope. I will let you know. Let me know how you are. Hopefully things are going better. Oh, good news. The Volt was not $4,000. In fact, it was only about a $150 computer problem. So not only could I get that fixed, I could get a couple tires that I needed on that car. So that was really good news. So things are looking up in that department. So until next time, don't forget to be awesome, and I will talk to you again soon, tomorrow, hopefully.